2020, the year like no other, has left us asking a whole lot of questions. And this morning, the world's biggest search engine has released its top 10 list of the things we wanted to know the answers to. Joining me now is Google Canada Trends expert Christina Peck. Christina, great to talk to you.
Good morning, Ben. Thank you for having me.
Let's start with the top searches of the year. Unsurprisingly, coronavirus is up there, but there's one thing that beat even the pandemic, isn't there?
There is. Coronavirus is number 2, but in the number 1 spot is actually the U.S. election. And when it comes to Google Trends, it's not surprising to see Canadians really dialed into what's happening south of the border. So when we looked at the U.S. election this year, Canadians were really searching around the debates, as well as election days and the days to follow, as we anxiously awaited the results.
What other news stories were Canadians reading up on the most this year?
You know, it was really heavy this year. There was a lot of difficult news, especially at home in Canada. So in addition to seeing coronavirus in numerous ways impact our health, we also saw its impact on the Canadian economy. So we saw search terms like CERB and CERB extension, Air Canada stock, Trudeau press conference, and Sophie Trudeau. We also saw the horrific Nova Scotia shooting, where Canadians searched for answers and really mourned the loss of fellow Canadians. And then spikes around Black Lives Matter and Blackout Tuesday. So it's inspiring to see Canadians educating themselves on such an important topic and participating in conversations around racial injustice in Canada.
Given the U.S. election topped our searches, it makes sense, though, that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were in our top 3 people searches. But who was first and why?
Yeah, number 1 spot was actually Kim Jong-un. And when we looked at where we saw spikes within searches, there was really 2 big moments here. The first was earlier on in the year in April when he had dropped from public view, and there was speculation worldwide around kind of, you know, why and where he was. And then more recently, again, another spike in November when he had taken an experimental COVID-19 vaccine.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's definitely an out-of-the-box sort of guy, so I think people are going to search that search box for him. The second most searched definition by Canadians this year was systemic racism. What other trends in data have you noticed after the Black Lives Matter movement this year?
It was. We also saw BIPOC on the top 10 list of definitions. So again, really powerful to see that Canadians are taking the step to understand what these words mean. In May, we saw an outpouring amount of support for Black Lives Matter when George Floyd was killed. And this left many Canadians and people worldwide really asking, you know, why are we still asking the same questions? This tragedy inspired Black Lives Matter's protests around the world. And when we look at it from a Canadian perspective, we've seen searches related to Black Lives Matter appear on numerous of our trending searches this year. So things like Blackout Tuesday and Black Lives Matter, as well as questions like why was George Floyd stopped and what is Juneteenth? And then we also saw breakout searches around how to donate to Black Lives Matter.
Christina Peck, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And in true 2020 style, guess what the number 1 question Canadians asked this year was? Why are people buying toilet paper? I mean, there's a general answer to that, a more specific one for 2020.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.